So for those of you who haven't met me yet, my name's Lillian Reed, our guest speaker, naturopath Nathan, this evening. So Nathan is a naturopath, a herbalist and nutritionist. He has been practicing for about 15 or so years. And not only is he a practitioner, he's also a big researcher. So anybody on the call who knows Nathan will know that Nathan will not put his name to anything. He will not speak to anything with authority unless he has done a lot of research. And I know that he has spent many hours researching what he's going to be speaking about today. So rest assured, if it's coming out of Nathan's mouth, then he has done his research. So what we're going to do this evening is Nathan is actually going to do a bit of an overview for people who may not know much about mature hop bitter extract yet, and he's going to share with you a little bit about why that is so beneficial in fat loss. And then he is going to cover some of the questions that have been coming in about how this works and who can use it, etc. I have this great pleasure to introduce this evening my son, whom I'm very proud of, who has really taken on board learning so much about this in a short period of time so that you guys can learn more and understand more about how this really works. So Nathan, over to you.
So we're talking about the mature hop bitter extract. And the amazing thing about this is we have a product that has this in it. And it is different than any other hop product out there. Most hops are used from either an ethanol extraction, and that is completely different than what we're getting with a proprietary extraction. We are getting some of these trichomes that contain these bitter acids concentrated, unlike anything else out there. And so it's these bitter acids, the combination of 3 different types of them, that are about to give us these amazing benefits that I'm going to run through. So that's what I'm going to be covering. I'll be covering it quite quickly because we went over a lot of this previously. I've got some new stuff that I'd love to go over with you and then answer your questions. So when we consume the hop extract, that's all the stuff that it's doing. It's releasing different gut peptides. It's increasing our thermogenesis. It's helping with digestion. It's slowing down the gastric emptying, so we feel fuller for longer. It then speeds up the transit of the bowels with peristalsis. And even there's a lot of cognitive anxiety, inflammation, and cardiovascular benefits that this extract, the research is showing, is beneficial for. So when you eat a bitter compound, it binds onto these receptors, the enteroendocrine cells in our gut, and that sends a signal through our vagus nerve to our brain that says, you've just eaten a bitter compound, let's slow everything down, digest it properly. So we're going to get the pancreas and the gallbladder jump on and give us a hand doing that. We're going to get our different peptides to tell our brain that we don't need any more food right now, so we're not hungry right now. Let's just focus on digesting these bitter acids. And then we're going to get a bunch of other peptides released. Cholecystokinin, glucagon-like 1 peptide, and peptide YY. So these are going to stimulate different areas of the body. It's going to help the pancreas, the liver, it's going to help the digestion, so the stomach, and it's going to help our brain release different neurotransmitters. So this is a lot of what happens when our body releases cholecystokinin. So again, I've just spoken about that, but that's if anyone wants more detail, they can go back and pause this and read that. But there are all the benefits: digestive aid, the pancreatic enzyme release, the gastric emptying, it's regulating our appetite, it's helping with motility with that peristalsis, and it's helping with the neurotransmitter release with anxiety. So that's all from cholecystokinin that's released when we consume the bitter acids. So you may have had practitioners that have helped stimulate your vagal nerve through using different machines. And that's, really effective at calming down our fight or flight system. So if you're really stressed and your body's in fight or flight, you can go pay a practitioner who can stimulate your vagal nerve to put you into rest and calm. But we now have an extract that is able to do something very similar. So the other benefit is cognitive improvement. So this is what really excites me. This is not just fat loss. This is health. It is reversing a whole bunch of problems associated with visceral fat, helping mitigate some of the inflammation, and helping with cognitive performance. That's what the studies are showing. Now, when we look at the glucagon-like 1 peptide, some of the drug variants of this, like Mounjaro, Ozempic, have a lot of side effects. And when we use something that's from nature, that our body has been around for thousands of years and it knows exactly how to metabolize it and what to do with it, we get all the amazing benefits of stimulating our own glucagon-like 1 peptide within our body. We're helping with appetite suppression, we're improving our blood glucose control. This, along with cholecystokinin, is also slowing down gastric emptying, and this has some potential cardiovascular benefits. The more research that's done, the more we can understand what's going on. But so far, what they've done is very promising. We have visceral fat and we have nutritional fat. We don't really have control if we're taking different medications or different supplements as to which one we're going to lose. You could lose structural fat and look quite gaunt in the face. You could lose nutritional fat and start to get depleted. It's very rare you come across something that is quite specifically targeting visceral fat, the bad fat, the bum, tummy, thigh fat that everyone struggles to get rid of. You can actually be quite healthy, go to the gym often, eat really well, but you're still carrying that, the saddlebags, whatever they call them, on the sides, around that tummy area, the last bit of fat to go. After everything else is gone, it finally goes. So when we are breaking down fat, we are breaking it down into fatty acids. And fats are really important for our body, the good fats. But unfortunately, a lot of the bad fat, like triglycerides, cause a lot of oxidation and inflammation. It's where a lot of metabolic disease comes from, inflammatory disorders, when we're carrying too much visceral fat. So if we can actually break this fat down into the safer, better quality fats like fatty acids, that then travel through our bloodstream and our body can use them to generate hormones, neurotransmitters, replenish all the fat that our brain needs. We're made up a lot of good fat. Then we start to be in repair mode. So it's not about weight loss, it's about repair mode and breaking down fat correctly in a safe manner. So this is a good visual where usually when our body is requiring energy or we're cold, it will get a little bit of fat from somewhere. It will break it down into the bloodstream. It'll send it to different areas like the muscles or the heart, or our fat cells or brown adipose fat. And the mitochondria in there, they grab on, this is our little energy centers, and they grabs onto the fatty acids, turns it into something called acetylcholine, and throws it into something called Krebs cycle, which is like a big furnace of making energy. And so when we have this process happening, imagine we have this little train filled with a bunch of fatty acids on the way through our blood system, going to where it needs to get to. It gets to our, let's say, fat, for example. And then you have a picture of this guy here shoveling in the fatty acids into the furnace, the mitochondria, and now we're producing some energy. Or we might be producing heat, depends on what the body needs. If we're producing heat, we're using a lot more of these fatty acids. If we're producing just energy, we don't use as many of them. So this is typically what happens when you're losing weight. It's a slow process and it can come from anywhere. This is what happens when you use mature hops bitter extract. All of a sudden, things are supercharged. We have an increase in mitochondria, and that's what that sentence is talking about. So the PCG1 alpha gene, what that's doing is it's stimulating more mitochondria to be made. So that's the picture on the right. You've got more furnaces being available for fat to be shoveled into. It's not only increasing the ability to burn more fat, it's doing it more efficiently. So now for every one guy shoveling in the fat, it's like having 10 of them because they're more efficient than the way our body would normally do it if we're not being stimulated through that mechanism that the bitter hops is doing. Along with having more mitochondria to shovel more fatty acids into, being more efficient at it, we just have more fat being broken down and the ability to condense the fat as it's being transported and bring more of it to the brown adipose tissue specifically. And because it's doing that, we are unlocking the ability to switch our mitochondrial furnaces. So instead of just making ATP, we're predominantly getting them to burn the fatty acids, oxidize them technically, into heat. So we are bringing far more fatty acids, we're more efficient, and because we're generating heat, we're using a lot more of them. And so this is where I love the analogy that using this extract, squirting it into that beverage, the water, whatever liquid you want, I suggest and recommend water, then we are all of a sudden having this process occur and ramping things up. Not only helping digestion, calming our nervous system down, the long-term benefits of potential cognitive effects, we are ramping the effect of burning this fat. And if you would rather sit in an ice bath for hours upon hours to have a similar process happen, because when we get cold, we have thermogenesis occur. Now you can just squirt that in your drink and you have a non-shivering thermogenesis, a very similar effect without having to sit in an ice bath. So I don't know who's in for that. You want to be on this train or you want this train? For me, it's the second one, along with all those amazing benefits. That was a very quick rundown on some of the cool stuff we spoke about last time, but just breaking down just how awesome what he's saying here, what Dr. Joseph is mentioning, and what that actually means as a bigger picture. So I hope that actually helps it make more sense for you.